PASS is designed to help first-year students cope better with all the aspects of life at third level. It plays a key role in enhancing the experience of first year and eases the transition to third level.
How about I talk about what
PASS programs help new students integrate socially and academically with other students in their classes, on their courses and across the wider institution. It does this by providing opportunities for them to meet and work together in small groups under the guidance of a more experienced student. Planning your session with other student leaders is a useful way for sharing information and getting new ideas. Make sure to email the students a few days in advance to remind them of the content of the session and if they need to bring anything.
How are the sessions going?
Speak to your academic course contact to find out what your students are covering in their lectures and for any advice. The session planning sheet from your manual will help you plan and prepare for your PASS study sessions. Consider the following. What activities have you planned to engage with the students? Possibilities are quizzes, lecture reviews and assignment preparation, all of which are opportunities to engage and practice their presentation skills. What will you do to get students to engage with each other? Small group learning techniques such as pair work, pyramid or jigsaw are good ways to get students to share information. How will you get the students to give feedback of their discussions to the rest of the class? When planning your sessions, you must consider what the first year student group have requested to discuss, if you need any information or help from a lecturer, the activities and small group techniques you are going to use, the outline and structure of the session, the room layout. Try to create a relaxed and informal setup. Agreeing a schedule for the class with students. First, welcome the students, thank them for coming and create a relaxed, informal atmosphere. Ask the students what topics they've covered in lectures since their last study session. Check with your group how their studies are going and if any assessed work is due to be handed in. Make sure to ask them if there is anything they are finding difficult, encourage them to speak, and make sure to listen to their answers. Make a list of the topics to work through with the students. This will provide the session with some structure and makes sure the students have a say in what is covered. Ask the group what order they would like to work through the list and designate a specific time to each topic. Make sure to be friendly, approachable, and encourage the students to verbalise their opinions. Asking questions ensures that the students do the thinking and the talking. When you ask a question, make sure to give students time to think about their answer. Students can feel intimidated asking or answering questions in large groups. You can address this issue by dividing your group into pairs or small groups of 3 or 4. Small group work encourages greater participation, discussion, cooperative working, and the sharing of ideas between students. When you feel your students have settled within their groups, move around each group and see how they are getting on. Wait a few moments before going around the groups, as your students are likely to ask the questions they should be answering themselves. To encourage participation in your weekly study sessions, you should redirect questions back to the group, ask open-ended, probing questions to get more information, wait for student responses, encourage students to check their notes, monitor the progress of each group.
Specifically work.
Work systematically through the topics you listed earlier. Summarise the main points you have covered before moving on to the next item on the list.
Several sheets of paper.
If an item is going to overrun, ask the group what they would like to spend their remaining time discussing. Ask the group if they want to carry forward unfinished items to the next study session. To structure your study session, you should aim for a balance between keeping the session on track and allowing individual freedom of expression. Work systematically through a schedule. Ensure key points are summarised regularly on the whiteboard. Allow at least 10 to 15 minutes at the end of your session to get summaries of the main points covered in the group discussion. Students explaining the outcomes of their small group discussions to the rest of the group is when everyone will obtain the greatest benefit from the session. As leader, you should concentrate on managing the feedback process and, when necessary, asking for further clarification. Ask one member from each group to explain the outcomes of their discussion. These points can be added to or further expanded by other members of the group. Reinforce what is being said by jotting down the main points each group makes on the whiteboard or an overhead projector. To end your weekly study session, you should briefly summarise the main points covered, ask the students whether anything puzzles them, get suggestions on what to cover in the next session, thank everyone for their contributions. When your study session has ended, complete the session plan and review forms online. You will find that this will improve the quality of your work as a student leader. Jot down a couple of sentences which describe how you feel the session went. Identify what you think went well as aspects you may need to improve on in the future. Make a brief note of the topics covered so that you have a record. When filling out the sheet, make sure to consider both the positive and negative aspects of your session. Make a note of any issues you need to discuss with your academic course contact or other student leaders. Make a note in your diary to email the group 2 to 3 days before your next session to remind them of the topic and to bring along the relevant resources.